Hello, and welcome back to the Velvet Room. I am Calluna, an attendant of Master Igor, here to oversee the Persona Compendium. You should know by now that there will be spoilers for the events of Persona 3, so if you wish to avoid the truth that you do not yet know, turn back now. So, shall you join me for another story today? Let us spin a tale.
Penthesilea's story has been told through several incarnations of Greek myth. She was an Amazonian queen, the younger sister to Hippolyta, another famous Amazonian queen who has been portrayed in several stories herself, including William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. Penthesilea, like other Amazonian warriors, was often depicted in various art forms as having cut off one of their breasts in order to improve their skill with the bow and various other weapons. It is uncertain if there is truth to this, however. In one telling, the Post-Homerica, Penthesilea accidentally slew her sister with a spear while they were hunting, making her the new queen of the Amazons. However, she grieved for her sister, the guilt so powerful that she wished for her own death. But, due to the Amazon code of dying an honorable death in battle, she sought out a place appropriate for her death. It was around this time that the Trojan War was occurring, so Penthesilea led a troop of Amazons to the battle. Penthesilea and her warriors fought on the side of the Trojans, though there are some versions of the tale that say that the Amazons did not pick a particular side at first. However, upon the death of Hector, the prince of Troy, Penthesilea seeks to fight Achilles, the one who slew him. Later iterations attributed this vow to her having fallen in love with Hector. Penthesilea was not just a wise leader and a beautiful woman, she was an incredibly strong warrior able to hold her own in the midst of battle. She participated in the fights along with her warriors, unlike other leaders who sat back and let their soldiers fight. Achilles, impressed with her strength, accepts her challenge and fights her, managing to kill her. It is said that Achilles fell in love with Penthesilea, though it changes from falling in love with her before killing her, to other versions saying he fell in love with her after removing her helmet from her corpse. Achilles goes out of his way to give her a proper burial, despite his fellow warriors' disapproval. Penthesilea, in all the various myths, is depicted as beautiful and deadly with a weapon. Regardless of how she came to her station, or if it is mentioned at all, she still carries herself as a warrior queen. She is seen as honorable, intelligent, and incredibly strong-willed. So, how did the myths carry over to her persona? Penthesilea was the first persona wielded by Mitsuru Kirijo, the leader of the Seas group, whose duty it is to wield their personas against shadows, destructive beings formed by negative human emotion. Mitsuru's role as a leader is not just represented in the Seas group. She is also the student body president and valedictorian at Gekkokan High School, and the successor to the Kirijo group, a global multinational trading company. It is no surprise, then, that her persona takes the form of a queen. Mitsuru, like Penthesilea, has suffered and felt tremendously guilty for the deaths that the Kirijo group were responsible for. She tells the group that the Kirijo group was the one responsible for creating the Dark Hour, after they were experimenting with shadows. Mitsuru feels especially guilty about Yukari Takeba's father being one of the ones killed in the experiment, and as a result she is initially cold and awkward around Yukari. Just as Penthesilea was honor-bound to die in battle for her mistake, Mitsuru works together with Ikutsuki, Akihiko, and Shinjiro to fight shadows and recruit more people to their cause. Mitsuru suffers another tragedy, the death of her father at the hands of Ikutsuki. Both her and her father were betrayed by Ikutsuki, who tricked the Seas group into destroying the 12 major shadows to bring about the end of the world through the summoning of Nyx. Although Ikutsuki is killed, her father cannot be saved and she becomes the new leader of the Kirijo group. Yukari helps to console her and help her come to realize how strong Mitsuru is and how she cannot give up. Mitsuru makes it a priority to restore her family's name by destroying Tartarus and preventing Nyx's summoning. Just as Penthesilea fights out of guilt and restoring her honor, Mitsuru bears these qualities within her own story. Penthesilea's design, like many of the Persona 3 designs, takes a modern interpretation to a classical Greek figure, with the image also influenced by the personality and decor of the wielder. Penthesilea looks more like a European fencer rather than an Amazonian warrior during the Trojan War, though there are parts of her design that still evoke the original myth. Her chest armor has a unique design. One of her breasts has a secondary spiked plate on it. evoking the legend of the Amazons cutting off one of their breasts to improve their fighting prowess. She is wearing a helmet, like Penthesilea is said to have worn, although it is more of a European design. It hides her face, just as Achilles could not see her face in one version of the myth. She also wears a small crown upon her head to remind you that she is indeed a queen, but this can also be attributed to Mitsuru's arcana in the game, the Empress. When the protagonist initially meets Mitsuru, she is not participating in the battles with him and the others in Tartarus. She is acting as their support, giving them directions through the various floors and alerting them to the presence of powerful shadows. However, her support abilities are quite limited, and she ends up abandoning the support altogether once Fuka Yamagishi's persona is revealed. It is meant to be an all-support persona, whereas Penthesilea is meant to be used in battle. Once she joins the battle, Mitsuru proves to be one of the strongest members of the team, with high magic stats and fairly decent physical stats. Just as Penthesilea fought best alongside her fellow Amazons, Mitsuru's battle abilities are far more useful in the thick of battle rather than in commanding. The fact that she has the support capability at all is a testament to her role as a queen, but before she is a queen, she is first and foremost a warrior. Mitsuru's personality definitely seems to have shaped the design of Penthesilea overall, which makes sense as she is the most seasoned persona user. Her outfits remind you of nobility or the upper class, which Mitsuru definitely evokes. Penthesilea dual wields a dagger and a rapier, which on the one hand reminds us of the legendary warrior queen, but since she mainly uses the rapier, Mitsuru's weapon of choice herself as a member of the fencing club, this shows just how much it is being influenced by Mitsuru's personality. The cravat is also an early design choice noted in the art books. Originally, Mitsuru was supposed to have one as well, but it was scrapped later on. Therefore, although there are hints and details scattered on her to reflect her original mythology, the majority of Penthesilea's persona design comes from Mitsuru herself. Fascinatingly though, Penthesilea has no trace of red on her at all, which is certainly odd considering Mitsuru's striking red hair color, as well as the red being the color of choice for the C's members' armbands. Mitsuru's second persona, Artemisia, does though, and she comes about after she has come to terms with the loss of her father. I believe then that the lack of red in Penthesilea shows how Mitsuru's heart isn't really in the battle for her own sake. She is doing it for the sake of others, abandoning her own thoughts and desires along the way. Mitsuru is doing what she believes is right, but it isn't until her father's demise that the battle becomes personal to her. The lack of her distinctive red color on her initial persona, then, shows how much she has grown emotionally throughout the course of Persona 3. Mitsuru finally comes into her own and accepts her role as the leader of both C's and the Kirijo group, but is ready to sacrifice her life to save the world.
Thank you for joining me here in the Velvet Room. I hope you have enjoyed your stay. Feel free to return again, and we can take another look at the compendium. If you have enjoyed my stories, feel free to show that in the form of a like or subscribe. The almighty algorithm continues to grow in power, and we must all do our part to hold it at bay with displays of compassion and support. My name is Calluna, and I look forward to your next visit.
Hey everyone! I wanted to take this opportunity to give a quick reminder about how Patreon works. It's a website that allows you to pledge a certain amount of money per month to your favorite content creators, allowing us to actually make a career out of this. Depending on how much you pledge, you get a variety of rewards in exchange. Some of my rewards for you include having your name in the credits, joining my Discord chat room, and getting early access to my videos. Or, at the highest tier, you can even choose something for me to review. Every little bit counts, so even if you can only do $1, that really builds up over time and helps me to make this show even better. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.